Imagine flying to a new country, trusting your auntie with your whole life. And your first night there, you realize the beautiful villa she brought you to is actually a marketplace for women's bodies. Welcome back to Tatafo Express. This is part 2 of Sold to Rome by My Own Auntie. In part 1, Maria's mother sold her land to give her daughter a better future. She trusted her own sister, Auntie Genevieve, to take Maria abroad to chase her dream of becoming a doctor. But tonight, as Maria lands in Rome, walks into that big, beautiful house and hears strange sounds in the night, she's about to find out the brutal truth. Her auntie is not her saviour. She is the madam. If you haven't watched part 1, pause now, go back and catch up so this pain can enter your chest properly. For everyone else, let's follow Maria as she steps into Rome and into the trap her own blood prepared for her. The flight from Lagos to Rome took 13 hours, with a stopover in Addis Ababa. As the plane descended toward Fiumicino Airport, Maria pressed her forehead against the window, heart racing. She was here. Beside her, Auntie Genevieve showed no excitement, no welcome speech. They moved through the airport, through passport control in silence. Auntie Genevieve purposeful, Maria dragging her hand luggage like it contained her entire future. They passed through automatic doors into the night. A large sedan was waiting to pick them up. The driver came out, and they spoke in Italian to each other as he opened the boot and set Maria's suitcase inside without ceremony. Maria climbed in gratefully. She was trembling. She felt like she was in a deep freezer. As they rode toward the city, Rome revealed itself. Golden lights, tall buildings, late-night cafes are still glowing. Maria rolled down her window. For a moment, it felt like an adventure. "Auntie, it's so beautiful," she whispered. "Rome is beautiful for people who belong here, for tourists, for those with money and time." The words hung between them like a warning. Something in Auntie Genevieve had changed since they boarded the plane. She seemed more complicated. She hardly spoke to her on the flight. Maria had never been on a plane before, but Auntie did not appear bothered. The drive continued deeper into the city. The buildings grew older and grander, set back behind iron gates and private gardens. They were heading toward Frascati now, toward villas where money lived quietly. The driver turned onto a tree-lined street. At the very end stood a large villa. Beautiful, closed off. They waited as the automatic gates opened. He pulled into the driveway and cut the engine. He came round, opened the door for Auntie Genevieve, unlocked the boot and brought out Maria's suitcase. Maria stepped out and looked up at the villa. It was impressive, nothing like home. The front door opened directly into a grand hallway. On the left-hand side was a large living room. Maria's breath caught. She heard Afro beats. She followed the sound, which was coming from upstairs. Women's voices laughing, speaking, the familiar lilt of Nigerian English mixed with Italian. Maria's heart lifted. This was beautiful. This was safety. "This is beautiful, Auntie," she said softly. Auntie Genevieve did not respond to her. She called out, "Favor, favor!" A young woman appeared from the hallway. She greeted Auntie Genevieve. "Madame, welcome." She looked at Maria and then back at Auntie Genevieve. She smiled coyly and said, "Madame, this one fine." Genevieve nodded slightly. Then Favor turned to look at Maria. Really look at her. Her eyes lingered. She reached out and gently touched Maria's arm, just for a second. Almost tender. "Come," she said quietly. "Let me show you upstairs." Maria picked up her suitcase and followed her up the stairs. At the top of the stairs was a large communal living area with several sofas and a side table. The Afro beats she heard downstairs was coming from a speaker in the corner of the room. There were 4 women. 2 of them were dancing seductively, while the other 2 were talking loudly, and there were empty cans of beer on the table. Maria noticed they were all excessively made up. She wondered if they could see through those thick eyelashes. When Favor and Maria entered, they stopped for a moment, all stared at Maria, gave her fake smiles, then carried on. Maria felt it immediately. The weight of their attention, the way they examined her as if she were merchandise. They were all dressed differently than women Maria knew from Benin, shorter, tighter, more dramatic. But it wasn't her business to ask questions. Something told her not to. She looked away and followed Favor down the hallway. They walked past two large bedrooms on the left, both doors open. Maria caught glimpses of proper beds. The room looked like the pictures she had seen in magazines of hotel rooms. Her excitement began to rise. If there were beautiful bedrooms like these, maybe one of them would be hers. But Favor didn't slow down. She didn't stop. She continued past them to a door at the very end of the hallway. "This is where you'll be," she said, pushing the door open. The room was large, but it wasn't a bedroom, it was a dormitory. 3 bunk beds lined the walls, industrial metal frames. In the corner bunk, a girl lay on the bottom bed, phone glowing. She looked up briefly, eyed Maria, and continued on her phone. Maria's excitement crashed. She stared at the bunks, the tight space, the girl below who wouldn't greet or acknowledge her. "Top bunk," Favor said quietly, pointing. "That one is yours. Your suitcase goes underneath. Everything stays there." Maria's voice came out small. "Yes, Aunty." "The bathroom is right there," she said, pointing to a connecting door. Favor left without another word. Maria was alone with the girl on the bottom bunk, who still would not say a word. The beautiful downstairs felt very far away now. The laughter she'd heard didn't sound like joy anymore, strained, performed, like something women had learned to do to survive. Maria spent the next hour trying to settle, figure out how the taps worked, and adjust to her new environment. By the time she was done, she was exhausted, and she barely made it into bed. She lay on her back, staring at the ceiling, exhausted from 13 hours of travel, from the shock, from confusion. She wanted to sleep, but she didn't. That night, she heard footsteps in the corridor. Male voices, doors closing, the sounds she would never forget. Men grunting like wild pigs, moans that didn't sound like pleasure. Maria pulled the pillow over her head. She didn't understand what was happening, but something was very, very wrong. Maria woke to silence. The house was quiet. The girl on the bottom bunk wasn't there. She lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying the sounds, trying to make sense of them. Aunty Genevieve came to her room around midday. "Maria, come, we need to talk," Aunty Genevieve said. Her voice was warm again. The family voice. Maria followed her downstairs to a small office she hadn't noticed before. "I've been thinking about your future," she began. "You came here to study medicine, yes? To become a doctor?" Maria nodded, not trusting her voice. "I know, your mother told me, and I mean to help you. But first you need to understand something." She leaned forward, her tone almost gentle. "In Rome, education is not free like it is at home. You need papers, proper documentation, language classes, money, a lot of money. So we need to be strategic. You're a beautiful girl, Maria, intelligent. You have value. We're going to use that value to build your future. Do you understand?" Maria didn't understand, but she nodded anyway. "First, you need to look the part. You need to look like someone who belongs here, not like someone fresh off the plane from Benin. You need to look expensive." Aunty Genevieve called Favor. "Take her to the salon, full treatment, hair, nails, eyelashes, then shopping. She needs clothes that fit, dresses, shoes. Make her look like she belongs here." Later that afternoon, Favor arrived at Maria's room. They left the villa together. The salon was in a part of Rome Maria hadn't seen, tucked away on a side street where African women came to make themselves look beautiful, bearable, or invisible, depending on what their lives required. The stylist, an older Nigerian woman named Aunty Clara, studied Maria's face as she washed her hair. "Hey, this one is fresh," she said to Favor. "Very fresh. How old?" 18, Favor said quickly. Aunty Clara said nothing, but her hands slowed in Maria's hair. The transformation took 4 hours. bouncy weave that made Maria's face look sharper, more defined, nails painted, eyelashes so long they made her eyes look enormous. When Auntie Clara turned her to the mirror, Maria barely recognized herself. She smiled. She looked sophisticated, like those Lagos girls in Nollywood. "Beautiful," Auntie Clara whispered, and there was sadness in her voice. "You look beautiful, eh? But beauty in Rome." She didn't finish the sentence. Then came the shopping. Favor took her to boutiques in neighborhoods Maria didn't know existed. Tight dresses, short skirts, clothes designed to be looked at, not to be comfortable in. "Why am I getting all this?" Maria asked. She said, "You need to look like you belong, like you have a life here." They bought 5 dresses, 7 pairs of heels, lipstick in colors Maria had never worn, perfume that cost more than anything she'd ever owned. On the way back to the villa in the car, Maria held the shopping bags and tried to convince herself this meant something good. Maybe Auntie was really planning to help her. Why else would she spend this money? But she kept thinking about Auntie Clara's voice, the way she'd said beautiful like it was a curse. Back at the house, Auntie Genevieve examined the clothes like an inspector. "Good," she said, nodding. "Very good. You look different now. You look very sophisticated." She touched Maria's face, tilting her chin up with one finger. "Your mother would be proud," Genevieve said. "You're doing so well. Soon we'll have enough money for your school. Just be patient." Maria wanted to believe her. She desperately wanted to believe her. Over the next few days, the pattern continued. Auntie Genevieve was kind. She asked about Maria's dreams. She talked about universities. She promised a future. But slowly, other things began to happen. Auntie Genevieve started taking Maria to the communal area where the other girls were, making her sit with them and making her part of the routine. Some of the girls were kind. They taught her how to walk in heels, how to do her makeup. One girl named Meg sat with her one afternoon. "How long have you been here?" Maria asked. 3 months, Meg said quietly. "Before me there was another girl. I don't know where she went." Maria's skin prickled, but she said nothing. Every evening, the same routine. The girls got ready, the makeup, the clothes, the transformation. They left one by one, moving with that same purpose that sent chills through her. They came back late, exhausted, saying nothing. Maria watched, she learned, and she began to understand what was really happening in this house. One evening, Maria was alone in her room when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Genevieve's voice, on the phone, close to her door. She wasn't trying to listen, but she couldn't help it. "Don't worry," Genevieve said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "The new girl is exactly what you wanted, untouched, fresh from Nigeria. You know how much virgins bring. She'll be worth every euro I'm asking for. Tonight I'll start her. She's perfect." A pause. "No, her mother paid for the ticket. The mother sold her own land. She paid for the privilege of handing her daughter to me." Another pause. Then, almost like laughter, "Yes, beautiful irony. The trust of blood, always the best weapon." The phone call ended. Maria didn't move, couldn't move. Her body had frozen completely. The pieces fell into place, all of them, at once. The beautiful downstairs she'd thought meant safety. The industrial bunks she'd felt were temporary. The rules were laid down without explanation. The women's knowing looks, the warnings whispered in the dark, the salon, the clothes, the kind words about her future. All of it was a setup. The madam who orchestrates this, who takes payments, who sells girls from her own country to the highest bidder. That madam is Genevieve. Auntie Genevieve, who held her sister at the airport in Benin and promised to protect her daughter. Auntie Genevieve, who spoke softly about medicine and universities, and Genevieve is her blood aunt. The realization didn't come as a shock. It came as devastation, complete and overwhelming devastation. Her mother had sold her unknowingly for a ticket to Rome. She trusted her sister with everything. She understood what her mother didn't. that blood doesn't protect you, it just makes the betrayal deeper. Before Maria could process another thought, there was a knock on her door. Favor stood there, holding the red dress and heels. "Wear this," she said quietly. "Favor, please," Maria's voice broke. "I came here to study. I can't do this." Favor sat down on the bottom bunk. For the first time, she looked at Maria like she really saw her. "I know," she said softly. "I came here to study too. I was going to be a teacher. That was 4 years ago." 4 years. The words landed like stones. "What happened to you?" Maria whispered. "I'm still here," Favor said. "But the girl I was when I arrived, she's gone." Favor stood up. "Get dressed. If you refuse, she'll send men to beat you. If you try to run, she'll find your mother. If you try to talk, nobody will listen. So you put on the dress, you go into the room, and you disconnect. You let your body do what it has to do while your mind goes somewhere else." "How do you survive that?" Favor looked at her. "You don't survive it. You just continue." Maria put on the dress. That night, the house turned into a marketplace of bodies. Maria refused the first man, screamed, fought, locked herself in a bathroom. Genevieve banged on the door, threatening. "If you don't come out, I will send men to your mother's house in Benin. Do you think I'm joking? I know the boys there, bad boys. They will take everything from her. They will make her wish she never had you." Those words broke something in Maria. Minutes later, Favor led Maria down the hallway into one of the beautiful bedrooms she had seen but never entered. She knocked. A man's voice called out, "Come in." Favor opened the door and gently pushed Maria inside. The room was beautiful, too beautiful. A large bed with silk sheets, soft lighting, art on the walls. A man sat on the edge of the bed, older, heavy-set, with the confidence of someone used to getting what he paid for. He looked at Maria and smiled. "You're the new one," he said. Not a question. Maria couldn't speak. He went to the door, closed it, and turned the key. He walked toward her. He grabbed her arm gently but firmly. "Don't be scared," he said. "This will be over soon." He pushed her towards the bed. She immediately left her body and let her mind drift somewhere else, somewhere her auntie couldn't reach her. Hours later, or maybe minutes, time had stopped making sense. Maria stumbled back to her room. She sat on her bottom bunk, and she cried. Not the tears of shock anymore. These were tears of something breaking inside her, something fundamental, something that could never be put back together. Her virginity was gone. Her innocence was gone. Her trust in blood, in family, in the word auntie, all of it was gone. She cried until she had no tears left. In that small, dark bunk room, after being forced into a man's bed like a product he paid for, Maria's whole world shattered. But something new is born in its place, a promise. Auntie Genevieve will pay for this. She didn't know how yet, but she knew one thing. Auntie Genevieve had made a terrible mistake. That's where we're leaving Maria tonight, broken, bleeding on the inside, but with a fire starting to burn. In part 3, that silent vow turns into action. We're going to see how a girl who was sold like a commodity starts planning her escape and her revenge. Comment "Justice for Maria" if you're still with her. If this story held your attention, please like and subscribe for more stories like this.